Todd, Tahoe's about to be a winter wonderland.
It is. It is. Look at me. I'm in the winter wonderland right here. It's just sitting right here behind me. I feel cold right now. I put on a jacket, everything else, Now, we should really talk about, the fact that you've got what looks like a tropical paradise in your backyard there.
Yes. I wish you could send me some snow right now, actually.
So we don't want to ignore the fact that you are still down in Nicaragua, right?
Yes. We've been working remotely from our home here since mid-November, just kind of extending things because we can do things in the house and fix it up, especially after the hurricanes that pass through. Obviously, with everything happening with COVID, we've just kind of kept quiet and house projects. And now with the COVID test required to enter back into the US as of today, I believe, it makes things a little bit more interesting in terms of returning, but we're looking to venture back to the Lake Tahoe area in about a month.
Well, so, the stay at home order has been lifted, so that is an option now. You can come in. You don't have to, isolate yourself for 14 days. And we're going to be talking about a lot of winter wonderland stuff today, right?
Yes, and I think it's fun. It's one of those things where I need a COVID test to get back in the U.S., but I'm probably going to need more than 4-wheel drive and chains to get back into Tahoe with all this snow that you're getting.
I was telling you before, now with the ski slopes getting ready to open, and I've got 3 kids and they're all fairly young. And sometimes they get up and they're all starting to ski right now. We'll have more about that later. And sometimes it's hard to tell apart the different kids. And you're asking me how I can tell. So I was going to show you really quickly before we get on our first guest.
Yes.
I've got my oldest daughter, who's a unicorn.
It seems to fit your head, Todd. Are you sure it's your daughter's?
And then we've got my middle daughter, who's a googly Martian thing. Do light up. So when she's doing night skiing, we can find her. And then my youngest daughter, who is 2.5 right now, she's definitely the troublemaker. And so we made her a bum.
I love that. I can just picture you and all 3 of your daughters just like headed down the slope and it's like, out of my way, we're coming.
Yeah, I mean, quick side note, I was 19 when I learned to learn. So I learned to ski. So I was an adult when I learned to ski. And if you're an adult and you learn to ski, the one thing you hate is those little kids skiing everywhere, just with no problem and no poles, right? And that was probably you back in Vermont. I have now created 3 of those, and I apologize to every adult who's learning right now because it is just awful.
But the great thing is you're keeping them safe, you're teaching them great habits, and to tie that back into the show, that's what the show is all about, right? Staying safe while having fun and supporting local businesses. And on that note, I think it's a great transition to introduce our first guest, Mara Lee with Keep Tahoe Blue, Leap to Save Lake Tahoe, highlighting sled etiquette, because that happens to be, a topic of conversation right now with how many people are trying to get out, enjoy the snow, but need to take necessary precautions in order to stay safe. So Mara Lee, thank you so much for joining us. On that note, I'm just going to let you take it away because you're in the middle of everything that's going on.
Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I'm here on behalf of Keep Tahoe Blue, as well as the Take Care Tahoe Committee. I sit on the committee with many organizations that are working to protect Lake Tahoe. And yes, everyone loves coming up to Tahoe in the winter, whether it's skiing like you were talking about earlier. And another favorite activity is sledding. And when people come up to these public lands, we love for them to enjoy it, but also to take care of it. The problem we're seeing every winter is that a lot of people are not sledding safely, or there's a huge aftermath when everyone is leaving. Flimsy plastic sleds and other litter can create pollution that end up in the lake. You may have seen stories such as Spooner Summit making national news. This is a threat to wildlife, and it really can impact the health and quality of Lake Tahoe's water. And if it doesn't get picked up, it could end up in Tahoe. A lot of people may not realize that the parks and campsites are closed for the season. So that means there's no one there to clean up after people, after they recreate. Right. We don't think people want to be part of the problem. They want to be part of the solution. So it's up to all of us, each one of us, to take care of Tahoe. So we do have Slediquette so that people can follow when they are coming up here. And one of the tips we give is renting a sled. That way you can rent a durable sled or even buy a durable sled. This is an inner tube, a wood sled, or a metal sled, and these don't break down.
No.
Yeah, and also staying safe, following CDC guidelines and staying away from the highway, very important. The League, we're working with many organizations through the Take Care Committee and making sure folks know how to sled properly. And we also have a lot of signage that we've installed with sled corrals at winter litter hotspots and winter spots where people are recreating. And so, yeah, we have lots of volunteers that are adopting the winter hotspots where people recreate to ensure that it's taken care of all year long. And these are through our Tahoe Blue Crew program with Keep Tahoe Blue, in which people are adopting an area and going out there frequently to make sure that it's okay and that we don't have litter left behind.
I know, in saying all that litter, and I'm really quite amazed because you'd think you bring a sled out somewhere and you're sledding, and if it breaks, you'd think to just pick up all the pieces you could find. But I mean, I've been out there, in the spring. I know my Rotary Club, we went out and we did sort of a cleanup, and I was amazed about, the size and pieces of sled that people just left out there in the middle of what's basically the national forest. Do you guys have any figures on like how many thousands of tons that is or what's going on there?
Yeah, the thing with the plastic sleds is that they do break down pretty easily. They're
Right.
very thin and not well made. And so that's why you may be seeing a lot that are broken. Unfortunately, people are leaving them behind. And so it's important for everyone to pack out this litter because there isn't any paid staff to pick this up.
Right.
We do have data through our Tahoe Blue Crew program. All of these volunteers are collecting numbers on what they're finding, and we could give those back to you on what data we are seeing later in the season.
Because they actually make them a nice bright color so you can find them. So you think people would do that and use them. Now, I saw some stuff about, that in some areas people are getting parking tickets because they're parking illegally and doing stuff like that. Do you have any like data on that? Like, the safety aspect on that, on illegal parking and, and maybe some alternatives where people can go or some other things that they should be doing for Slediquette?
Yeah, I don't have the numbers on parking tickets. As a nonprofit, we don't have that information, but we do recommend that people go to places where it's safe to sled. And there are facilities and groups that are, and businesses, that do offer sledding opportunities in a safe place, lots of fun, and they have all the equipment you need there. So that's what we recommend in the Tahoe Basin. If people do come across a sled corral, we do encourage through the sign to take a sled that's left behind that's whole and good to use and leave it when you're done. And these are available at locations around the lake where we do know people go to, but it's the best choice to go to places that our businesses are running and support local business.
I think an air mattress would actually be the most durable option, not to mention, you don't think a twin air mattress would be a good idea?
It'd be a comfortable ride.
Upcycling and multi-use. That's what I have to say.
All joking aside, I really mean this. I think some of this, what I want to say, unsupervised sledding that you see in different areas, and I understand that people kind of know what's going on and stuff like that. It really can be probably one of the most dangerous, winter sports. I often tell people, it's sort of like, you go to those hills, there are just people going everywhere, and there's no real control over it. It's kind of like being, in a bowling game. Either you're the ball because you're on the sled, or you're one of the pins at the bottom of the hill. I mean, and that's not a good spot to be in. And there are so many places where we have people that actually offer safe, controlled sledding with proper equipment and stuff like that. And people might think, well, it's really pricey. No, it's not when you consider tickets, injuries, hospital stays, and everything else. And you got to probably buy 17 of those plastic sleds in order to make them last for any period of time.
I think it's interesting that the safety related to skiing and snowmobiling and skiing and snowboarding related to wearing helmets is not the same for sledding. And I find that extremely surprising, right? It seems like it should be a requirement. But on that note, Marilee, if you could give us the information on where you have all the information listed about your nonprofit, about the organization, about where people can maybe help out to volunteer, as well as you have a really nice list of the sledding and tubing facilities on your website. And then we can introduce our next guest because it's a great transition.
Absolutely. Yes. The website is takecaretahoe.org/sleds. And this website has the locations where you can rent a sled and go to those facilities that we're talking about, that the next people will talk about. And it has more information about proper Slediquette. And we'd love to see all the proper Slediquette. You can use the hashtag Slediquette.
Awesome. Love it. So let's introduce our next guest, who actually has one of these great facilities where you can go and you can tube up and down and have lots of fun. Aaron from Tahoe Snowmobiles. You've also got snowmobiles, but let's talk about sledding to start off. So, I mean, you guys have got a great little spot right in the middle of town. You know, you keep people, you know, fairly socially distanced the whole time they're outside, and you have a lot of really great equipment that's not going to break and crack on people, correct?
Correct. Yes. And we do our best to keep everybody socially distanced and everybody safe. You know, that is one of our #1 priorities, more so this year than probably ever before for a lot of businesses. So we do provide everything you need to sled. We currently have 3 tubing hills open. We are hoping with this snowstorm coming in that we'll be able to open our 4th by the weekend.
4 tubing hills. Well, that's amazing. Well, Marilee, we're going to say goodbye to you. Thank you for joining us. And that was takecaretahoe.org/sleds, right? Memory like a steel trap. Amazing.
It's wearing those helmets, Todd. It's wearing the helmets.
I've got all kinds of helmets here. I'm not sure which one's going to protect me the best.
I was hoping you were going to wear the bomb one the whole time.
I know. Well, I'll tell you what, she's like 2.5 and she thinks she's all that. And man, we had her up for the first time the other day too. And she just wants to go faster, right? I think it's amazing. So tell us where you're located, Aaron. I know it's like right there in center town. I kind of talked about it, but give people a little bit better idea of how they would book time and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, we are located directly across the street from Montblue's parking lot. And our guests are more than welcome and invited and allowed, more importantly, to park at Montbleu. We do rent parking from them so that our guests do not have to pay for parking. And then they just cross the street to us. And we are in the big open field with all the snow and snow play catty corner from Hard Rock, right across the street from Montbleu, and then right across the street from Edgewood's Golf Course as well. So if somebody is staying at the casinos, we're just a short walk away. If they're staying in Southlake, we're a short drive.
There you go. So do you need reservations for sledding, and how does a snowmobile working? Because you got a snowmobile track as well, correct?
We do, yes, and we are reservations only, especially on the weekends. We cannot accommodate walk-ups. We get too busy, and we are controlling our numbers this year, and we are operating at a reduced capacity. In the weekday, we can typically accommodate walk-ups, but guests can always make a reservation day of through our website, which is TahoeSnowmobiles.com. And then we do have a couple specials midweek too. We've got a winter combo where guests can buy a snowmobile and a snow tube for an hour and a half, and they get that package deal. And also on the weekday, we offer a buy one, get one sled 50% off. So $60 gets you 2 sleds. Those specials run Monday through Thursday. And, just a little bit of a draw for anyone who's in town midweek. Beat the crowds, avoid the crowds of the weekends.
And what I love about your locations, you're so centralized, right? So in terms of those families who are just needing easy access to a location, you're right there.
Yes, and I think, that we do have parking available is another big thing. You guys were talking about the tickets and that people parking on the street. I know a lot of people look at sledding in nature as an affordable option, but once you do factor in those tickets, citations, because people are getting citations for sledding in private property now too, potential injury, it really makes it a lot more expensive than our operation.
I think the big thing about sledding that people don't realize is when you get to the top of the hill, it doesn't look too steep until you hop on that sled or that tube and you realize I can't steer this and I have no brakes. And it's really kind of interesting. And I love how you guys have yours. I mean, you guys obviously know what you're doing. You're setting it up. You've got a little ramp that stops people so they don't go flying, you know, out into the street, you know, and it's away from the street. It's fenced in. So kids kind of run around. You don't have to worry about them, you know, running out into the street on accident.
Yes. Fingers crossed that would never happen. You really have to get some air to go over our fences.
Yeah, you would.
That would be terrifying. I'm scared just thinking about it. But yes, we do offer tubing on our tubing hills. You know, one of the questions that we get a lot from people who call us is, well, do you pull the tube behind the snowmobile? No. We try to make things as safe as possible. The activities are separate.
Yeah.
But on the same property, so you don't even have to leave.
That's great. So quick question, age for snowmobiling, I'm assuming tube can be any age, but what about for snowmobiling?
Actually, tubing is 3 and up, and snowmobiling is 5 and up. We feel that these are safe ages where kids can actually hold on, grip tightly, and be safe. And with the snowmobiling too, we also need to make sure that we have helmets that can fit a child's head. And with kids 5 and younger, a lot of times they can't hold on tight, and we don't have helmets that fit them. So, you know, our main concern is the child's safety, and we want to make sure nobody gets hurt.
Awesome. Great.
I think it's really great the progression that you're able to provide with the snowmobile tours, right? Because the last thing you want is like five and up, right? Is having a child that young, you know, be on a sled, obviously with an adult, or I should say a snowmobile, but then it being in an uncontrolled environment, right? So keeping it a wonderful experience, safe, progression towards into an actual tour in Lake Tahoe when they're older is a wonderful opportunity.
We are ideal for families and beginners. That is our selling point right there. We're not a crazy snowmobile tour. We are what we are. We're very honest about what we are. We don't hide it. It says we are a circle track and tubing hills right on our website. So people hopefully know what they are booking. Sometimes they don't. But we are, very safe activity in a controlled environment, like Megan said, for beginners and families. A lot of people call looking for tours, and we always are happy to recommend other companies that do offer that. But we, you know, like to mention that, hey, if you've never snowmobiled before, we're a great way to get your feet wet. And, you know, just spend a half an hour on our track with our machine, and then you go out into the wilderness and you're less likely to be injured.
In a former life, I was actually a snowmobile guide for one of the companies here in town. And I tell you what, I had several people that I actually sent back to go ride the circle track because it was pretty crazy. You know, I'm gonna bring on our next guest who has the next step up of what you can do, because there's some people that come up here that want to ski and snowboard. So we'll bring him on. I think you might know him. And you know, Aaron, you're talking about pulling, you know, tubes behind snowmobiles. Ted's, you know, from the Midwest. I'm sure he's kind of done that at least once or twice, because we did that kind of crazy stuff because we don't have hills back there, so we just do that
much.
And no helmets too. That's why you guys are as sharp as you are now.
Oh yeah, I know. I think about it now and I'm like, oh man, I don't know how we did that. So great. So Aaron, one more time, website where people can find out more information, book everything, phone numbers, all that stuff.
TahoeSnowmobiles.com is our website. We are very active on Instagram and Facebook as well. Our handle is Tahoe Snowmobiles for both of those. And oh God, I'm such a bad representative. I actually don't know our phone number off the top of my head.
You're a person? Oh my goodness, for gods.
How often do you call your company, huh?
Never. That's why I don't know my phone number off the top of my head. Our phone number is 530-542-3294.
3294. Got that.
That was embarrassing.
Aaron, great talking to you. And, I think midweek I might bring my oldest daughter down there now that I know the ages for the snowmobiles, and we'll get her going around there, get her
Let
started.
us know. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on out.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye.
So, Ted, Tahoe Powder House, how many locations have you guys got around town? You've got quite a few.
Yeah, we're at 7 locations now. We've got 4 right in the heart of the village, right where the Heavenly Gondola is, right at the Marriott facility. We've actually got 1 inside the Hard Rock Casino. So just kind of complementing that casino corridor as well, which is actually just steps away from the gondola, but sometimes it's just easy and nicer to be able to spread out a little bit. And then we've got 2 on Ski Run Boulevard. We're just on the way to the California base. To the Heavenly Mountain also. All complimentary to the Heavenly area, but all very accessible throughout South Lake Tahoe.
Right. I knew that was pretty good. Now, I always get my season leases to you, and I get, for the kids, because it's a great option. And I know we're kind of into the season, so people might not, but I wanted to show you, and sometimes you may not get this feedback, that, these season leases do work.
All right.
I don't know. Can you see that right there?
Oh, yeah.
So that is my daughter.
Look at her go.
Right.
Oh, man. Oh, she's doing great.
Well, sort of. I won't bore you with the rest of it because it kind of takes.
No, Todd, you have to.
No, that's amazing.
That was the one time she fell in this.
Oh, yeah.
1 minute and 30-second video. That is the first.
Okay, here we go. We'll go for 30 seconds. Here she goes.
I mean, to think this little one is cruising.
And that's how what you got to do. You got to get used to it. You need to get to those days under or on the skis on your board. The only way to progress in this sport is to be actually doing it. So she's doing great. She's going to be whizzing right by you before you know it, Todd.
That's not going to take much.
No, well, fair enough.
And to think that you're helping with that, Ted, right? With a family of 3, you're making it possible to be able to have this experience on the mountain. So
yeah, well, like to Todd's point, having kids and kind of getting him involved with skiing and snowboarding. Not only does it take time, it does take some money. I mean, through that, she will be vastly better at the end of this season than she was at the beginning, but she's also going to grow. So what our season lease options give you guys the ability to do is to basically just rent that equipment for the year, not invest too much more than what would be just kind of what basically they started about $159 for kids and $199 for adults. And that includes skis, boots, poles, or snowboard, boots, bindings for the entire season. Through that season, especially with kids, if they are growing up and getting better quickly, you can exchange that equipment for either a little bit more advanced style of equipment or just bigger equipment for them. Same with boots. Kids' feet are growing, they grow pretty quickly. And that's also true of adults, where basically if you get an adult package and you start as a beginner and it's very easy to progress yourself throughout the season, you could easily upgrade that throughout the season to intermediate or advanced equipment. What they also include, which is fantastic, are tune-ups throughout the year. So you can make sure that your gear is in tip-top shape, especially when we're getting variances of snow conditions like we're slated to see this week with all of this snow. So it's just nice to be able to kind of not invest too much money and to be able to know that, you're not, once you kind of end the season, you're not stuck with something that might not work for you the next year. So we do have those options.
And on the other end, with me as an adult who's been skiing for a number of years, I was ready to invest in my equipment and myself and actually, have some more of those luxury items like the boot fitting, right? Or the really nice skis that I can use for whether it's a powder day or kind of a groomer day. So on that same note, being able to kind of lease some of your higher ends, or I should say maybe rent out for a day and test some of that high end skis you have, you made it really nice for me to create my own package that I just love riding.
No, definitely. And what's great, we got economical options with the rentals, and it's a great way to progress you. But once you start getting good and start getting comfortable and really want to start challenging yourself, you got to get some consistency with your equipment, and that's the time to start buying. And you hit the nail on the head right there. Boot fitting is going to be the most important thing. We don't sell snowboard boots, unfortunately. There are a number of good retailers around that do, but our Pro Snow location, just right at the base of the gondola, does focus on ski and ski boot sales. And our boot fitters down there are fantastic. Anyone who's skied knows that the boots can be a bit of an ordeal. No, exactly. And they can get a little bit on the spendy side. So you definitely want to make
It's
sure
so worth it.
it's so worth it.
I've had those,
Exactly.
I mean, I've had those boots for 5-6 years now, you know,
Totally.
so, and it was such a difference, just in terms of comfort. I mean, and ability, right?
Okay.
Maneuverability to be able to use those edges even more than I ever have. So yeah, your team was great.
No, that's fantastic. And hopefully, you know, like you said, it can last you 5-10 years, hundreds of days of skiing on the mountain. And really, though, getting that comfort and getting that level of confidence makes it easier for you to kind of progress in the sport and travel places you might have never been and challenge yourself in those ways. And biggest smiles I ever have are at the base of the lift after, you know, coming down the mountain with all of that fresh snow that we're about to get and just seeing what you accomplished, high-fiving some friends, or maybe, you know, that socially distance high five this year. You know, the pride that you get from that. I mean, you can't think of any other things other than sports, things like golf, you know, these individual type sports where you really can accomplish things and progress. And what a cool way to do it when we get such good weather like this.
Now, you guys also carry a lot of like gear, like, you know, snow pants,
Sure.
jackets, things like that. Because I mean, I tell you what, everyone always talks about what kind of skis you got and how big and how fat they are underfoot and all that stuff. But quite honestly, if you don't have the gear that you need to stay warm, and you know, that, I mean, your day's ruined. It doesn't matter how good your skis are if you're freezing.
No, you're totally right about that. And kind of the easiest way to do it is just think about layering. You know, we've all got a lot of different stuff at home. I mean, what you don't, a lot of people might not have to begin with is like a big shell, like something that's waterproof pants. So you get out on the mountain, you get into the elements, those are going to be necessities. But what's great is you don't necessarily have to break the bank with anything else. As long as you've got something on your skin that's going to be kind of a synthetic fabric or silk, something that keeps you dry. And then you can use kind of whatever you would want as a layering layer in between that base layer and your outer layer, your shell. And you can do a lot to stay warm without, you know, having to buy the most expensive stuff. Once you start skiing a lot, once you kind of start wearing this stuff a lot, it does become a lot easier to spend a little bit more money because some of that expensive stuff is cooler looking. And it's always nice to look cool up there too. And you know, also when you have that a little bit more technical stuff, you're going to be more comfortable weather-wise up there. So you're not going to be shivering, you're not going to be sweating. So you generally will be cooler. You will be feeling good. And it's a lot easier to translate that energy when it's not wasted right to the skis, right to the snowboard, and really have some fun up there.
Right. Another quick question. I'm not sure if you actually offered it this year. Delivery and more importantly, like drop-off locations for your rentals. I know you have a lot of convenient ways so people aren't stuck trying to drop off their gear to get out of town. So what do you have in those options, especially with this socially distanced year we're in?
Yeah, well, like you said, socially distanced year. It's all about that, making sure our customers can kind of get that equipment and not have to, you know, worry about any other hassle than just whatever sort of hassle the mountains provide. So with that too, like all of our rental options, you're able to pick up your rentals the night before. Anytime after 3 p.m., you can grab them the night before. A little bit easier to be able to space out and not have to worry about those crowds in the morning because we know how they can get on a ski morning. What's also great is, and no matter where you initiated your rental with us, you can return it to any of the Powder House locations as well. So it becomes a little bit easier. You can see, hey, that one's not busy right there, but where we rented across the street's a little bit worse. So you can just kind of make use of that situation and drop off right there. What we also have done is we've partnered with Tahoe Dave's, which is a local ski and snowboard rental shop to the North Shore of Lake Tahoe. So if you were to venture off the South Shore and go anywhere like to North Star, Squaw Valley, or any of those great resorts up on the north part of Tahoe, you can actually just drop off at any of the Tahoe Dave's locations up there and not have to worry about coming all the way back down to South Lake. That's also true if you rented with Tahoe Dave's to begin with on the North Shore and want to visit our great locations down here, Kirkwood, Heavenly, Sierra, and really get the gamut of what it is to ski around the basin. And that's to explore. And you can return their rentals down to us too. Exactly.
I mean, that's a genius. Can you imagine, you know, picking up a pair of skis and then you wanted to do Heavenly and wanted to do Kirkwood and then you wanted to go make a loop and maybe try squat alpine and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to drive all the way back down. should return my rentals.
Like, you know, it's a great thing to be able to take advantage of it. We have so many resorts within about an hour drive, you know, so there's
Right.
other things. And with that too, hey, maybe I'm flying out of Reno, or I need to get on 80 out to the West Bay or to the Bay. And it's a little bit easier if I can just drop off at these locations. So that's what 2 locally owned and operated areas and renter providers like us, Powder House and Tahoe Dave's, have done. And hopefully that does just make your guys' experiences and your visits to Tahoe that much better, because all the resorts are worth checking out. I mean, I'm going to be biased to ours down here at South Shore, but Squaw and North Star are both phenomenal and definitely worth your time.
So what I know is I've got 2 boots for each kid, 2 skis for each kid. So that's 6 pieces of equipment. I'm going to try to drop them off at every single place I can around the lake.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there you go. Hey, you know, that would make it easier to see where everything is. Exactly. Take their chances.
No, I would never do that to you.
Testing if the system's working.
Yeah, right.
Just to test it. No, we
It'll
won't.
all come back to us. And then this is one of those years we probably wouldn't complain too much. At you.
So Ted, one-stop shop for all your ski and snowboarding needs, obviously. Website, where should people log in, look at stuff, reserve, whatever they need to do?
Yeah, our website, TahoePowderhouse.com. That's going to be the best wealth of information for everything that we do. If you're looking for rentals specifically, actually go into our website, TahoePowderhouse.com, and booking at least a day in advance of your first day, you would actually save 25% off regular rental rates.
Wow.
So that's going to be your best bet. No matter what you were to book online, you're going to guarantee that rate structure, that discount level, no matter what you were to go into. If you book something cheap and all of a sudden you want to get the demo package, no problem at all. You just pay that difference in store. What's also great, and I forgot to mention, we also rent things like snowshoes, cross-country skis. For those of you who don't get onto the ski resorts themselves, there's still going to be plenty of opportunity to enjoy the snow in the winter wonderland we have that down here in Tahoe. So it's a great opportunity to be able to go out and see everything. What's also great, all of our stores, or all 7 of them, are going to have great retail options. So you really could just walk into any one of them and basically in your swim trunks and walk out ready for the mountain. So we like to think that you have good economical options, so you can walk out of there cheaply, but you can also spend as much as you can, because the industry does have that higher end, and we like to keep those that are discerning, like myself.
Well put.
Sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ted. We appreciate you coming on board. And obviously, Tahoe Powder House, you know, you guys have been around for many years, and there's a reason why you guys have been around. You do a great job. Excellent report from.
And I love the little shield installations.
Oh yeah. It's like we think of it as
Well
like a butcher. Yeah, we're like in a butcher thing, and we're serving up some chops that are some skis or some snowboards.
You're keeping everyone safe and everyone
Right.
having fun. What it's all about.
Thank you.
Great job. Thanks for joining us, Ted. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Great information. TahoePowderhouse.org.
.com.
.com. When I say .com, .org, .com. TahoePowderhouse.com. Yeah. There's nothing on that .org one. So, a lot of great information there. A lot of neat stuff from, you know, how to sled safely, you know, places to go, snowmobiling for the kid, all the way up to things you can do on the mountain. That was actually a really good show for everything, especially considering over the next couple of days, we're going to have about 3 or 4 feet of snow. How much snow?
How much snow do you think?
You know, I'm thinking at lake level, I think it'll be 2 feet plus. I do, by the weekend, which is a great time to rent those snowshoes from Powder House, right? And check things out. Up on the mountain, up at the top, you know, I've seen some crazy storms, you know, 3-4 feet, who knows, baby. And that can extend our season all the way to late April if you know, if we're lucky. So let's hope so.
You need that base. I'm excited to come back home with just this beautiful layer of snow. I skipped all the middle. I'm just right in the fresh.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on Get Virtual. If you like the show, make sure to share it, like it, comment on it, tell your friends about it. You know, we try to post when we're going to be doing one, and we have some great shows coming up. So yeah, Get Virtual.